This video will explain how do we organize Moodle contents using heading that comes with background color. The first approach that you can consider is the user interface approach. So let's go into Moodle and take a look at how to do this. This is a sample Moodle site. Before you add anything, you have to turn editing on. Okay, let's say we are going to add a heading to organize information as well as files and folders under this section. Okay, so the item that you need to add is a label. Okay, go down, scroll down. When you add activities, click on label, add. Okay, in this video, we are talking about the user interface approach. That means, how do we make use of the buttons available here in this area to help us to create that? First, add a table. Okay, I will start with a table with one column and two rows. You can, of course, have more than two rows if you wish to. Make certain that the border is 0. Before you do anything, start typing. For example, week 1, lecture 1. This will make the table becomes more visible in this editing area. Now, you can select the text that you have typed. Say this would be made the heading of this section, one of the heading. I would enlarge the font size to 18 points, bold it. So you can do formatting like this using the buttons available in the user interface. Okay, next is to change the background color. You can right click on the first row, first column, because this would be used as the heading. So put the cursor anywhere inside this box or inside this cell, right click, cell, table cell properties, go straight to advanced, and you can see background color. So click on this box, you can select a color. You can from here, which is the color picker. If you find it difficult to do so, try to make use of palette or some of the fixed color. So for example, I select this blue color as the background. As you click on update, you will see that this is the background color is now visible. So let's say I would like to have this heading span across the entire width. I would like to change the width of this table. Okay, make sure that your cursor is somewhere inside the table. Click on the insert or edit table button and width. Okay, let's say start with 900, update, so that the width has been updated. In order to illustrate how we can organize information, I would just demonstrate with some simple bullet points. Let's say, please read you can keep the original size here. The font size is not as small as it is visible in the editing area. So in order to preview how this thing looks like, save and return to unit. And this is how it looks like. Again, remember that this is under turn editing on mode. Therefore, we have to turn editing off to be able to see what exactly the student sees. So this is how it looks like. Take note of one thing, do not set the text alignment to center or to the right hand side, because if your table width is too wide, the heading might not be visible. And it is a common practice when we are creating HTML documents or information to keep everything to the left, because the web page will do auto adjustment if necessary. So this is how it looks like. If you feel that the font size is suitable, you can keep it as it is. If you would like to enlarge the font size, go back to turn editing on and edit the contents of this label. Now, if you are particular about the formatting, I will explain about two more settings that you can adjust. One set of the setting is how do we make this tick box disappear. And now, obviously, the table width that I said just now is too wide. So how do I reduce it? Okay, in order to make these changes, I will go back to turn editing on. Okay, click on edit, edit setting, so that I can edit the content of this label. Now, if you remember the way that I set the table width earlier, put your mouse cursor at anywhere in the table, click on the insert edit table button. Instead of 900, let's say I would change this to 700 now. Okay, we will exit this editor and see how it looks like with 700 width. And about the tick box that I mentioned earlier, to disable it, because this is a label that's supposed to display information, activity completion tracking might not be required. If you do not want to trace activity completion using the tick box, go to the activity completion setting, select do not indicate activity completion. Save and return to unit. You can see now that the tick box is gone now, and turn editing off to preview how is the table width setting. So this table width setting seems to be fine. If you want to continue to add more items into this section, you can organize the information in this section with starting with information, which can be included as part of the table. You can have this table with multiple rows, and without showing the border, when you exit the editing mode, it will look like this. Okay, so usually one row of the heading and second row in the table as bullet point should be sufficient. But if your contents is more complex than this, you can of course have another row. Without setting the border, the information would still look tidy. Now, if you want to organize files as well, go back to turn editing on, and files should be made available after the label. So just for an example, if I insert a file now, I would click on add an activity or resource, go to file, add, and I will load a sample file that I have in my computer. Okay, after I have uploaded the file to Moodle, I will click save and return to unit. Okay, you can see that the file has been uploaded here. Now, just to take a look at the aesthetic of these contents, I can go to turn editing off and take a look at how this thing looks like. If you are happy with this setup, you can leave it as it is. If you want to disable this tick box, you can use the same approach that I've explained earlier in the video. If you feel that the sample file should have a bit of indentation here, I will show you quickly how to do so. Let's go back to turn editing on. Click on edit, move right. Okay, so that the file will be indented a little bit. Go back to turn editing off and preview to see if the contents looks okay to you. Okay, so this is a few tricks that you can make use of the label with nice heading to organize your contents, which can be combination of information as well as files and folder.